Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Today I will present you the Systems Engineering Reference Enterprise Architecture modeled in UAFML and based on the ISO15288. Well, actually, Audience already presented me. That was the most important to say about me. So we can skip this one. What is SEREA? SEREA is an INCOSE technical product, or it will be, it's not yet, but it's going to be available for everybody to be bought, or I don't know what will happen. Actually, for me, it's for free. It's being developed by the UAF working group of the KFSA, of the German chapter of INCOSE, with the support of the INCOSE laboratory and behind the source systems with Cameo Magic. It's a reference enterprise architecture. So as the student draft 4242, ISO 4242 defines, a reference architecture is a generalized architecture applicable to a field of application, domain of activity, or area of concern. In our case, our area of concern is systems engineering. So therefore, SEREA is based on the 15288, and that helps us to define operational activities. What helps us a lot to define motivational aspects or strategy, viewpoints, views is the INCOSE handbook and the Vision 35 from INCOSE. The goals of SEREA is to support or enable organizations to manage better or to react better to the development of new system of systems or systems, and as well as setting a basis for possible qualification of suppliers and contractors through creating a reference architecture from where they can build their enterprise architectures. It is a moving target. So as we say, form follows function and follows purpose. A system follows the enterprise that follows the needs and trends. So systems provide solutions, products and services which change according to the capabilities of technology. They are also driven by the needs, or they are actually driven by the needs and expectations of global stakeholders and by the trends in the enterprises. So this is what I mean. It's a moving target. The trends and needs of society evolve ever faster, and enterprises need to constantly adapt. So what we today do in the organizations where we today are working, it's possibly already obsolete. And in such a scenario, models shine. And this is where UAFML, UAF and UAFML, the language, comes into action. And this is the schema that we are proposing in SEREA. So starting from those drivers, we move, we identify what challenges, of course, not as a reference architecture. I will show you, we take some genetic challenges that we extract from INCOSE information, but an enterprise would have their own challenges that will also, they will have their own opportunities that will lead to, they will inform the capabilities that they need to expose in order to reach the desired effects. And these, according to vision and goals of the enterprise, and in a more or less staged way. Once those motivational aspects are clear, we have a number of capabilities, and those capabilities using SEREA can be mapped to, we call it a sort of a logical architecture, so it can be mapped to an operational architecture. That this operational architecture would be later on in a tailoring or in a deriving from the reference architecture, can be turned into capability configurations for the specific enterprises and specific organizations that would use that reference architecture, that would use SEREA. So we like to say that processes and methods are to personal resources what software is to hardware. So they are parts of the resource configuration. We consider them as such. Once this is complete, and eventually using a recursive approach, we can finally design or define personal kind capabilities and resource kind capabilities, which are what in the language of ISO 15288 and moving the focus to the system, to the supporting systems that are going to support this operation. Those are the stakeholder requirements. So how does it look like? That was a bit of theory, our schema, how we understand that. How does it look like this in the model? So this what you see here is a high-level idea of what this reference model is. You can see on the top, that's SEREA for lifecycle management. That's a reference architecture, and what we provide and we create now, SEREA, is a combination of strategy viewpoints and operational viewpoints. Those, or that SEREA, can be then tailored to the specific requirements of an enterprise or taken as it is. And from that tailoring, an enterprise can derive or can add resources architecture, so configuration resources, or they can add services, project resources in a particular level of maturity, so more or less formality. So that's the idea. And in order to achieve that, we provide generic, but still taken from INCOSE information, books, articles, Vision 2035. So we provide generic drivers, generic challenges, and as well as generic opportunities. So opportunities going very in the direction of using model-based approaches. From there, we propose or we give the frame to approach an implementation or an improvement of an organization using this reference architecture, stepped using different intensity models or intensity levels using, in this case, CMMI, level 2, level 3, and then a full scope 15288. And what we also provide is at that enterprise level, so enterprise goals, we decompose those enterprise goals in objectives for each of these phases, and those objectives will have some following CMMI and ISO 15288, some specific objectives for each CMMI level, of each level of intensity that we want to implement in our organization. Going forward, and as per 15288, on each of those phases, we will see some capabilities that need to be exhibited. And this is where SEREA is not stopping. And then, for instance, we are going to have a look, we go recursion deeper. We're going to have a look to the stakeholders' needs and requirements definition capability. And this is one level down. So we are here now in those definition of stakeholder needs and requirements. What we can see here is, again, a decomposition of objectives for that specific capability. Then we have also, we don't see here, but we have also defined challenges and the opportunities that you can see here. And those opportunities are aligned to the objectives, as well as they inform that capability that we want to implement in our enterprise at a particular phase, and will be exhibited by a performer that we will also define. What you can also see here are effects. So what do we want to achieve? And what you see here also are the measures of effects. So how much is this effect achieved? So those are measures that are predefined here. Not all of them have to be implemented, but we propose some measures. Moving forward, with help of 15288, we expand on those capabilities and we detail those capabilities. We create clusters of capabilities that will help us. What we can see here before we move forward, we can see here another kind of measurements. We saw measurements of completion. So how complete are those effects that we are trying to achieve? What we see here is measures of effectiveness. So how much value are these capabilities bringing to the organization? So we try to measure value. We don't specify how, this is a case by case, but what we propose here is to measure that value. Those capabilities will define what kind of operational activities we have to perform. You can see here an example. What you see here are some call actions. So we're using call actions. The enterprise is a mesh, is completely networked, and performers are asking performers to undertake tasks. And this is going back and forth across the whole enterprise. We map those activities to performance in a logical way. And we also allocate or keep a traceability to the upper level. We came from a lifecycle management level, and we are now at one of the different performers. This one is the definition of stakeholder requirements and needs. So we keep the traceability with the upper level. What we can do now is we can define the structure of that performer, that specific performer. And you see here again, that's a clustering, that's a structure of this performer with some performers underpinned to this one. And they all have metrics. They are similar metrics. In this case, what we are measuring is the effort per value. So how much it costs for what benefit is bringing. And this is the third measure that we do. Is we are measuring completion, we are measuring effectiveness, and we are measuring performance. So we are proposing to measure that. What we also do is the connectivity. What you can see here is the internal connectivity within this performer, but also the connectivity with other performers. As I mentioned before, performers are calling other performers and telling them, yeah, please do that for me. So these are those call actions that you could see before. So all those call actions need to be connected, and this is what you can see here. Also in SEREA, we have the connection at the upper level, but it's huge. I cannot show it here in a way that it's visible. What I can show you is this. This is the size of, if we can call it like that, this is the size of SEREA. This is just taking, let me do something different. I'll bring SEREA to this display. So this is the size of SEREA, and well, I can see I zoom a little bit so that you have an idea of the size. And well, what you can see here is this interconnection at the lifecycle management level. It's quite big. Yes, it's, as you can see here, more or less, it's 80% completed. And the idea, the plan, and my wish is to get it finished before the end of the year, so that it's for everybody out in the world available. Take it, use it, do whatever. That's the plan. Looking a bit forward, as Aurelius mentioned this morning, a few hours, 2 hours ago, with UAF 2.0, UAFML 2.0 that builds on SysML 2, version 2. We have two, I think, big things coming. One is modeling the enterprise with UAF 2.0 using LLMs. It works. I tried at system level. It works surprisingly good. And let me show you something I have been doing. I've been publishing that in my LinkedIn account. So there's a like GitHub where all this information is there, so you can find it there. But what I did here is I modeled a mining frigate from an online game, EVE Online. It's nothing secret, very easy. There's a lot of information on the internet. I did that with ChatGPT. ChatGPT could find very good information about this mining frigate, how it works, how it operates, and all this code that you can see here. This is SysML2, and there's a lot of lines and business cases and whatever. I did very, very little of this code. Actually, I asked ChatGPT, I corrected, no, I don't like it, do it like this, do it like that. Look again in this website, there's more information about how mining frigates operate, and give me your result. And it was just copying and pasting from ChatGPT to Eclipse. Not much more than that. So I was adding some things. I was defining what do we want to have in what package. I was giving it back to ChatGPT, saying that's the package and that's the version I want to keep working on. So what I want to say is astonishingly well. And I can just imagine that when we come out with UAF 2.0, that same level of help we can bring to the modeling of the enterprise. But not only to the modeling of the enterprise, and the other way around, and possibly a very profitable way to see that or to profit from that is personnel working on the enterprise can interact with an LLM, of course not with ChatGPT, with an general LLM in the enterprise, and ask, well, who is going to give me that information, or whom should I give that, or what should I do now in this step, or what should I do with that information? So that could improve the way the quality of the way processes are followed, as well as the quality of the products, and in a way that is friendly and it's helpful and nice for the people. So I see good things ahead. And that's my kind of a call to action or my proposal. So now is the time to plan ahead. So prepare your digital engineering strategy with UAF today, knowing that UAF 2 is around the corner and will have all these features. Use SEREA, hopefully by the end of the year, to kickstart your enterprise architecture. We've been talking already this morning, and there's going to be more talks about enterprise architecture. There's a lot of benefits on doing it in a model way or the model-based. And those benefits are the ability to stay one step ahead of your problems and of your chances. And that's my presentation of SEREA today.
Right, thank you. Do we have questions, Matthew? All right, let's wait a few minutes. Maybe there's some questions there. We have time for questions.
So if there's any questions or interest or anything, you have here my email, telephone number. I enjoy that. So talking with people about this is real fun.
We have a couple of questions in the chat if you'd like to address them.
I can do that afterwards if you like.
Okay.
I'll make a mess. Questions should be in forms as we agreed at the beginning, right? So then we all of those questions will be answered. Some that we missed, we will answer in email. But we're only looking to the Microsoft Forms questions, not the chat though. So please put those questions in. And actually, I can bring the, again, if you missed, I can bring the QR code.
I put the link in the chat.
I can nonetheless respond to the questions in the chat afterwards.
If you can see my screen, here's the QR code. That's for questions. So if you want to ask questions, please put those questions in the form to make sure they get answered either here or later.
The question was, how would you actually use this model? In other words, could you, for instance, embed this model into the system that you're developing, that model, and use this orthogonally, make references to this model to demonstrate what part of 15288 you're using, or just to help to inform your modeling exercises?
Yeah, that's. Oh, thank you for asking that. When we often, or what we normally focus is on models that express our operational environment, our operations. What this model is expressing is the development operations. So it's an organization who is developing systems, and they are doing something, and the way they are doing it, and what exactly they are doing, what they are doing is modeled in this reference architecture. This is different than modeling an operational scenario. This is modeling a development scenario.
Yeah.
This is what I meant. This is also can enable very well the acquisition processes by qualifying suppliers. If you have a supplier who's telling you, I am using that model and my development organization is model-based. So we have our processes modeled, and you can review that as a buyer. It can enable or support the certification process for acquisition.
Okay, so you would use it as a guide more than anything.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, here's another one. If I understand SEREA correctly, this is an example of using UAF as a methodology similar to OOSEM and Magic Grid to SysML.
It's not a method, it's a reference architecture. I'm not telling people how to model their enterprise. I'm telling them this is a template. Take it, use whatever you want from it, adapt it to your enterprise, model your enterprise. How you do that, that's something that I'm not telling how to do that. I'm just giving them a template.
Okay. Another question is, could you use UAF to actually define standards? In other words, I would build a model of the standard and the approach and the process that I'm trying to build. And I would then use that as the basis for actually creating the standard.
Yes, that's a great question, because that's what tips behind this SEREA. What this SEREA is also showing is that the 15288 can also be expressed as a model. But in SEREA, there's more than the 15288. The 15288 stops at the process, but SEREA is proposing a structure.
Okay. And while James comes up, one more question, which was, are these customer-facing models or diagrams? And if so, was it difficult to train the customers, or haven't you got that far with making use of your model?
At the moment, I am my own customer.
Okay.
I'm quite happy with myself so far.
Thank you.